What's up, good people? It's your girl Ray P, back for another episode of the We Got Y'all podcast. Of course, I'm not here alone. I am here with my amazing co-host, counterpart, co-conspirator,
The Marvin to your rock.
the
Except
Marvin.
I'm not meeting with Stefano behind your back though.
Period. And lying about it. I
And
am
lying about
here with Kyron Richardson, aka K Rich, decked out in his Tar Heels gear, no matter what. What's going on, Rich?
it. It's so hard to say goodbye.
You better
Man,
sing.
shout out to the Tar Heels, man. I had to just pay them homage one more time. Season's over, but roller coaster year. But we're not here for college hoops. We are here to talk about raising Kanan. As
Yeah.
Rachel gave the incredible introduction that she always does. It's an honor and privilege to be here with her talking television, and also an honor and privilege to be here with all of y'all, man. We really appreciate the support, everything that you do as far as comments, well wishes, the whole nine, man. Every compliment that we get about what we're discussing, we
Mhm.
always appreciate it. Also, if you're on the We Got Y'all feed, then y'all probably know we are discussing the White Lotus. We've been putting those out in increments of two. So every two episodes, we'll release an episode. We actually recorded an episode for the madness that was episode 5, but I think we built enough of a standard here. We got y'all to where
For
it just
sure.
didn't feel like it was something. Rachel and myself had a conversation. We try to think about people listening to us for the first time. If it's your
Yeah,
first time stumbling into it, um, we don't know if that was the best representation.
for
And I
sure.
think it'll be a better convo if we get episode 6 and kind of have a little bit more context to, like I said, some of the madness that went on. But please remember to subscribe, like, comment, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. There will be spoilers and explicit content, and we are discussing season 4 of Raising Kanan. This episode is titled Bygones. Trigger warning before we start: there is discussion and conversation about self-harm,
Mhm.
unaliving oneself. So just want to put that trigger warning out there because we will be discussing that briefly. This episode was directed by Crystal Roberson Dorsey, written by Michael M. Chang. Synopsis: Rock and Marvin deal with unique secret return to power, while Lou works with his new artist. Kanan reconnects with his grandmother, and Jukebox explores her identity. Rachel,
Yes.
we talked about it before we started recording. A
Uh-huh.
lot of things going on, but not necessarily anything with too much depth or detail. What were your opening thoughts on episode 3?
Episode 3 was good. I don't want to say the weakest, but I'll say the slowest of the 3 so far. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I like what we got. I think that this episode, I'm not going to call it a filler, but it was definitely a vehicle or a catalyst to get us where we need to go and what the rest, even the next week or the rest of the season will look like. You know what I'm saying? It
Absolutely.
also answered questions that we had last week, especially about Juke and how she gets out of a dishonorable discharge and this, that, and the third to go on with her career
Mm-hmm.
in the police force. And we see her this week really kind of standing on, I don't want to say standing on business, but standing on self discovery, essentially trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out exactly who Laverne is,
Yeah.
not just Juke, beyond Jukebox, the person who dreamt of being a singer, but now we know she only dreams when she's asleep. Um, Not a super Kanan heavy episode, despite
Mm-mm.
uh getting some interesting Kanan scenes. Obviously, the Thomas family. During our intro, we talked about Marvin meeting with Stefano and lying about it. I was very surprised that he didn't just say, "Yeah, I've been meeting with that nigga, so what?" You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
understand why he did it, but I was surprised nonetheless, because we know where Rock is, literally between a rock and a hard place. So
Mm-hmm.
it just is what it is. Loved what we got from Lulu, the vulnerability. And I love that Rock was there at the AA or NA meeting, or not AA, to see him and hear his story, because the reality is when we saw her at the session while he was in rehab, she was not fully receptive to the experience and what Lou and the therapist were trying to explain to her and share, she very much was still guarded. And we saw in the subsequent episodes from that she is the queen of compartmentalizing. We don't get a lot of feelings from Rock. So the fact that she was here in an unfamiliar environment and able to really kind of get the heart of Lou in a way that I don't think she was able to do while at the rehab, I thought that that was really good. Obviously, grandma's hands.
Mm-hmm.
My God, today. I think since you highlighted it, I have paid close attention every episode to the monologues that 50 does at the top and bottom of this episode. And I think in Rock being such a queen pin and figuring everything out and all of the turmoil with she and Kanan, you forget that she also is somebody's child, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that this episode, we've seen she and her mother before. And we know that it's not necessarily a loving or affectionate relationship. We see that. We learned last week that she was the father's favorite. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, when you got that daddy's girl,
Yeah.
brace
Yeah.
yourself for some tumult with that mother. And we see that. But what 50 says is no matter whose mama you are still somebody's child. And we see that. And I think this is the first time we saw a child like Rock
Mm-hmm.
in the series for me. What about you?
Rachel, I couldn't have said. We talk a lot about just having the same brain when it comes to
Mhm.
this stuff, and you said everything I was going to say. You brought up interesting points about humanizing. Really, this episode is really about humanizing. Think about the title, right? Bygones. Bygones, by definition, is connected to an earlier time.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it feels like everybody is trying to humanize one another versus looking at them as what they do.
Yeah.
You talked about the Rocks scene with Lou, and I think when you juxtapose that with what she said or what happened in rehab, you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. She's seeing Lou as her baby brother, not as somebody who works for her. Like I said,
Yeah.
you look at the whole "I own you" nigga scene.
Mhm.
We knew Lou was going through a thing, but now she's choosing to say, "All right, now that I know something deeper, like you really were at the point where you were ready to call it
Right
quits.
here. Mhm.
Yeah, only thing you owe me is getting better. Like
Yeah.
I'm looking at you from that sense. Kanan, right?
Mhm.
We won't talk about it yet, but there's a moment when she talks to him about school, and he looks and like she's thinking about him going to college and graduating high school. Like she's trying to see what the normal child would do in a normal family function or family setting, but this isn't that. Like you said, childlike as far as talking to her mom, and we came in this world as someone's children. Everything,
Yeah.
Marvin realizing that man, there's an orphan now. I need to go check on my goddaughter Amber
Yeah.
because that's nowhere somebody needs to be.
For sure.
Even when you get to Lowell and Rilla,
Mhm.
like just humanizing these stereotypes and what we're made out to be. This whole episode was, you said it perfectly. It's too good to be a filler,
Mhm.
but it is a catalyst to what we're going to get, especially
For
when you look at
sure.
the previews. Things are starting to heat up.
For sure.
Um, and for it to only be episode 3, knowing that we still have over half of the season to go, I can
Mhm.
only imagine where this is going to take us. And
Absolutely.
I'm enjoying every single step of it. So,
I'm
would you want to start? Where would you want to start? Like, what character? Because there are a few things to talk about. We can work our way up. Um, I'll let you choose. Maybe Kanan.
Let's start with Kanan. Yeah, that's fine.
So really, not much going on with Kanan. We see Kanan talk to his grandma, and this happened last week as well, so it's not a surprise. But him kind of egging her on, it's time to tell the family about what's going
Yeah.
on. He did make an interesting point. This family isn't good at that, and I don't think that's just the Thomas family. I think that's a lot of. I'll speak from Black families. I don't know if other ethnicities or backgrounds have that thing, but I know a lot of Black families try to stay out of grown folks' business. Now that we grown, we need to know what grown folks' business is and kind of talk
Right.
about some of the things
Right.
that might be trauma and so on and so forth. And he
Mhm.
even mentions, man, if Rock was more honest with me about things, maybe our relationship would be different. And other than that, and we'll get to the family dinner, Crystal sees someone, a scary looking figure.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know who he is. But that leads to Crystal saying, "Hey, I don't feel safe here. You shouldn't be working where you sleep.
Which
It's time to look." That's like rule one.
rule number one for Kanan to have absorbed so much from Rock, he didn't learn a goddamn thing. Your mama was not selling work. I don't know where y'all lay your heads.
Biggie,
Even now, not Marvin, not Lou. Nobody comes to your home. Why are you
nobody.
doing that? Again, young naivete.
Biggie said it one song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never sell no crack where you rest at. I don't care if they want an ounce, tell them bounce.
Bars. Never heard it.
Straight up, man. Straight up, man. It's just it's like rule 101 when you get into this game, when you get into this world. Like
Mm-hmm.
money and blood don't mix. Like
Yeah.
family, keep your family and business completely separated. This is all the same song where he says all of this stuff.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
what are you thinking right now? Like, why would you think this is a good idea? Because now you have where we have at the end of the episode, you have Unique breaking in. And now he knows. He's been surveying the spot without you even knowing.
Right.
So, smart move by Crystal. What do you think about the Crystal and Rock scene?
Well, I am not a Crystal fan.
Yeah.
It's Butter. She's not my kind of bitch. I thought it was very interesting. I think that Rock may see some Crystal or may see some Rock in Crystal.
Yeah.
And which is funny because, we choose people like our parents, whether we want to or not,
Right.
or unbeknownst to us until you uncover that. I thought it was interesting. I think Crystal has too much dip on her chip, but like Rock said, I'm sure we'll see each other again.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be curious to see what that looks like. I didn't love her. You asking or telling. First off, girl, she might be grown, but that's Big Rock.
That's
You a
Big
child.
Rock. I swear. I clean up this whole apartment right now.
That's it. Don't let you and Kanan's pillow talk about me get you fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Big Rock.
Big Rock, not the little one. You see how Fame was deferential no matter what. Clearly, you don't know. If you thought Juke was something, see where she got it from. Okay.
Yeah. She took off the glasses and gave her a pass. Like, oh, you don't know who you're talking to. It's cool.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Like she said, don't worry. We'll see each other.
Clearly.
Like, you'll learn very quickly about what's going on and what this needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned, and we don't know if Crystal is even going to have a demise. I mentioned Juke.
Yeah.
Depending on how things go with Rock and Kanan. Rock is the type that says, you know what, this girl's too distracting.
Handle my lightweight.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. You also have Kanan and Crystal experiencing some discrimination while they're looking for apartments. I didn't really listen. I figured like the writers were looking at this, like, let's write a scene about them looking for an apartment. In reality, in 1990, which I'm going to say this is early 94.
Okay.
I think that's where we are, Rachel. There's a couple of reasons why I got there.
Okay.
The letter that Rock got from Kanan school said he hasn't been since the new year started. I don't think they mean new school year because we saw him in school.
Right.
I think they mean the new calendar year. So after Christmas break, I don't think he was there. And then when he's walking in the family dinner, he has a pair of Jordan 9s on. And Jordan 9s came out in November 93. And if this is a new year, I'm assuming this has to be early 94 when all this is going down. So shout out to the writers for not telling us a date, but kind of telling us what time we're looking at. And remember, I think season 1 we started in 91.
Okay, come on.
Things have been, things have been progressing. But yeah, you just have to write a scene like that. They're too young, too black. We're not going to rent to you. That still goes on today, unfortunately.
For sure.
And Kanan, it does eventually find a place with the help of a non-refundable deposit. Money talks every situation. If you know how to use it, if you're not scared to just put it out there, somebody has to really, really, really hate you to not take your money.
For sure.
Like that's pure hate to not take that extra bread. And he took it easily. You're gonna really love it here. Absolutely. Yeah, because that landlord knows anything I need. What's up? I'm gonna take real good care of this client. So that's really the ins and outs of Kanan.
Yeah. You know what though? Yes, money talks, bullshit walks. I'm gonna take care of you. But I'm also, in my 38-year-old brain, I'm going to be cautious of said landlord. And now that you know that I have X amount of cash to just give to you, I wonder if we're opening the door for some random nickel and diming and the random protections like, oh yeah, this fee is for X. This fee is for, the water tax. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would be leery uh of that.
I thought about that.
Mhm.
Could happen, right?
Yeah.
Could very much so happen. The one thing I will say is I don't think Kanan's going for it.
Yeah.
However, when I say that, I don't think he's going for the nickel and dime. I think that
Mhm.
he's going to say, "Hey, here's $5,000, whatever. Don't come back to me about none of this bullshit." Hey, sometimes it's the cost of doing business. Should he be having to do it? No, but he knows how he got in. And then once
Mhm.
you do it, just like Quan can raise the price 20%. That's the cost of doing business sometimes. Figure it out. Ain't got nothing to do with me. All right, bet. You going nickel and dime now that you know I got some money? Cool. Like that's as a landlord, that's your right. Here you go. But don't
Yeah.
ever, like once I give you this, better not ever come back for more. Because then
Yeah.
we really gonna have a problem. So I think that's how he's gonna approach it. But you are 100% right. I thought the same
Mhm.
thing. Like,
Okay.
man, I don't know, man. You opening the floodgates.
Yeah.
Opening the floodgates. Let's talk about Unique.
I'm sick of Unique.
I'm sick of Unique. I'm ready for Unique to be out in the open.
Mhm.
That's what it is. I don't want him. I don't want him. And it seems like he's going to be revealing himself soon. If you look at the preview for next week, if
Mhm.
not episode 4, then definitely episode 5. I think it'll be known that he is still alive.
Yeah.
We saw him drop that money to, is it Nessa? Pernessa?
Panessa.
Panessa. I keep wanting to put that R in there, that per. Um,
A V would
Panessa.
have made sense, but
Yeah. Yeah, you know. We call him Nessa. So he puts that money in. Well, let's back up. How he
Mhm.
even got the money. We opened up the episode with him robbing Rock Spot, the
Yeah.
Chinese restaurant, and I knew right away since he's still in hiding, anybody that he comes up, anybody he encounters, pretty much
They're
has to die.
yeah.
They have to, right? Because you can't be alive to say this person came in and give a description. So they
Mhm.
out of there. Unique is on a rampage. Not rightfully so, but he is on a rampage,
Mhm.
causing havoc everywhere he goes. Pays Early, which we find out who Early kind of is. Early is the neighborhood watch. If there's any kind of crime going on in Queens, he's the person that might have heard something, hears something.
I think that this episode in early specifically made me realize how small Jamaica Queens is. You know
Mm-hmm,
what I'm saying? I think that when we consider all of this gang war and turf and this, that, and the third, that you think that you're dealing with a much larger radius, you know what I'm saying? A much
mm-hmm,
larger perimeter, but really you're not. These are literally just a couple of blocks. And that's why I think I find that's what makes it hard to believe some of the others, maybe like Crystal. So maybe she's not from Queens, because everybody knows everybody. You might know a little something, something. You might not be involved in everybody's day to day, but you know a little one too. In early sort of put that in perspective for me this episode when Marvin rolled up on him. It was not anything adversarial. Oh, you fix Marvin's car. You know
mm-hmm,
everything. You see everything. Everybody can put $1 in your pocket and get what they know. Got it.
mm-hmm.
So, whereas I thought that he was Unique's guy, now I know he's everybody's guy. So, this also puts him in danger where I'm concerned because your loyalty is not to anybody. You're not affiliated,
Yeah,
quote unquote, with anybody. There's no protection that you're guaranteed or insulated by because you don't report, quote unquote, to
mm-hmm,
anybody, you know?
mm-hmm. And it makes sense because when we met Early, he
Mhm.
was so concerned about getting his money.
Yeah.
I want my money. I want my money. It didn't seem like he was Unique's guy,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Obviously, to some degree, because that's the first call he made.
Yeah.
Unique made it to early to come get him, but it was also a little bit more business related. So we were trying to figure out who he was, and like you said, that's a very dangerous spot to when you're Switzerland in this
Yeah.
world, right? You don't have any kind of allegiance. I'm out of it.
Mhm.
I would not be surprised. Well, first of all, Early's not going to make it through the season
No.
because he's playing both sides of the fence. One
Mm.
of them, when I say them, Unique, Marvin, somebody's going to have surveillance on Early to
Yes.
kind of see what's what. We see him already. He finds out about the Chinese restaurant, and then obviously Unique puts the money on his desk. Doesn't take much to put two and two together. I know what you up to. At what point does Unique realize, you know what? You're no longer of service to me. You can go too.
Yeah.
And you know what else is funny? It reminded me of Fight. Did you watch Fight Night on Peacock?
I started it several times, but I don't think I ever got like through it.
It's just a scene in there where Don Cheadle, who plays one of the officers, he also goes to a mechanic looking for some
Mhm.
information. It's just one of those things. Like the mechanics are the ones who happen to know everything because there's a lot of business you can do under the table,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
sometimes you make connections with people. I'm sure he does more than change oil. I'm sure that if Marvin needs a stash spot in his Lexus or in his Benz,
Put
he
that
can
in.
actually insert that, put it in there, and now there's a connection.
Yeah.
Now I need you for this. You look for this. Yeah, so it's interesting. Um, we talked about the money in the mailbox. She's got to know that she's got to have some inkling that Unique is alive. Who she's
Yeah.
gonna tell, I don't know,
Mhm.
but she's got to know that Unique is alive. Nessa is who I'm speaking of when she sees that money the next day. And what else was I gonna say? Unique has. Why do my notes say Unique has CS? What does that mean?
Only
I
CS I
started.
can think of is child support. I don't think that's what you mean. I don't
Nah,
know.
that's definitely not what I mean. I'm not sure. What's the last thing that we see Unique
It's
do?
when he breaks into the apartment and stops OC.
OC.
The little boy, Kanan's money counter.
Yes, thank you. I said
Mhm.
CS because OC. I got the initials wrong. All right, I'm like, hold on, man. Yes. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Does he
Yeah.
kill him? No, I think we would have seen it if he kills him. I think he's
Mhm.
gonna use him to get more information on Kanan. I think OC is working for uh Unique now and kind of playing both sides of the fence.
I don't think that OC is savvy enough. We see Crystal has made points every single time she mentions him to note how strange he is. Kanan said he's good with numbers, not people. Kanan knows how to handle him, despite Unique clearly being the aggressor. Sorry, this sun will not let me be great. I'm a red light.
You shine bright.
um, Despite Unique clearly being the aggressor in all of this, and obviously uh having a gun to OC, I I think he may end up unaliving him because I don't think that he'll, and we know that, tap tap tap, he's not right in the brain. So I think that he will be put off and not really sure how to deal with the nuances of OC and his dare I say social status.
Yeah.
I think he's not going to know how to take that, especially because, like, yes, I'm scared, but I'm also weird. So I might be talking like, I don't want to say weird, but assuming spectrum
Yeah.
situation there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, and Unique might not gel well with that. So I think that in his tap, tap, tapping, and in his frustration, will end up unaliving OC.
I could see that happening too. OC is not a viable enough character to where he can go and it won't
Yeah.
really mean much. So yeah, some characters are written just to die. And
Yeah.
OC seems like one of those. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. Like you said, a lot of building versus answering questions this episode.
Yeah.
So we'll keep our eye on that. we have the rest of the Thomas family. We have Marvin, Rock, Lou, and Juke. Where do you
Let's
want to
do
go,
Juke.
Rachel?
Let's start with
Let's
Juke.
let's go, Juke. Talked about humanizing earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Well, oh, I thought you were gonna say something. Shout
No,
out
go ahead. Go
to
ahead.
my girl Juke. We've known that she's not a soldier, um, but a leader and a killer and a mastermind. I don't think we knew how cerebral Juke actually is. And we know she's not a dumb girl, but she knows the things. She does the research. She
Mm-hmm.
will figure her way out of whatever scenario. So here we are having to deal with Juke being AWOL, which we know and she knew what she would have to deal with. So the officers, they're at the house. Marvin's like, "Hey, what you want me to tell these motherfuckers?" Like,
Shout out
I,
to Marvin for just being like, whatever you need, I got you. Fuck
I
them.
got it. Shout out to dads, man.
Mm-hmm.
So they come and she's not afraid. She's not intimidated. She's very sure and clear on where she stands and what she's going to do. We learned that there is a caveat, some kind of separation. I don't think I wrote it down.
Yeah, early. I had it written down. Entry level separation.
Entry level separation. So she has that, or she believes that she would be eligible for this. And how do I get out of this? How do I make sure that I get that? I'm gay. The same reason you dishonorably discharged my partner, the one who I actually loved, who was killing that army shit with me, he's
Mm-hmm.
gay. So I gave him a dishonorable discharge, kicked him out. I'm going to avoid that by coming forward and saying that I am gay. And I know that this is not allowed. And I think that you are right about the year time frame, because don't ask, don't tell was not, I don't want to say not in effect, but it was not the slogan of that time just yet. You know what I'm saying? So here we
Mm-hmm.
are. The
1994 to 2011.
Okay, see?
Mm-hmm.
Just around that time frame. And now we have to figure out a way around this. Okay, we'll let you out. I hope you're not proud. You're letting your country down. Well, you know what? This country has let my people down a time or two. And that is still true
Yeah,
30 years
still holds
later,
true.
So here we are. I just appreciated Juke's assuredness in what she was doing and knowing what she was going to say and how she was going to handle the matter. We've seen the maturation of Laverne throughout the course of these 4 seasons. And I'm just impressed by her. And I don't know if it is production, in wardrobe and styling, costume, this, that, and the third, but Juke just looks more grown to me. And we know
Mm-hmm.
Haley Kilgore is an adult. She wasn't a child actor who's growing into a woman. She's
Mm-hmm.
already grown, but I don't know why Juke just looks so much more mature to me in these 3 episodes than she did before. Like, it was believable that she was 17-year-old girl, but now you know what she looked like, a woman. And clearly she's seen some things in this life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she looks like someone who is comfortable with figuring out who she is and reach that
Yeah.
point. Usually doesn't happen until you get older.
Yeah.
But Juke is, life is about your experiences, and she's experienced enough to be like, you know what, fuck this. This is who I am. If I'm gonna live my life, I'm gonna do it on my terms because
Mhm.
life is too short for anything else. And I appreciate that, and I can respect that. That was a great scene, just because AWOL is not a joke, so you had to have something that's somewhat realistic
For
to
sure.
figure out how she gets out of that, and that's the perfect time frame, right? Bring them MPs in there. I can tell what I need to say to a judge. They don't
Mm.
want any of that. So
Yeah.
I bet we're going. It's not even worth it. This is entry level. At the end of the day, it's not like It's not like you served years and you just
Yeah.
disappearing on us. You don't even know enough. So, all right, cool. We'll
Yeah.
do this. Hope you ain't proud of yourself, nigga. I hope you ain't proud of yourself either. Like, what
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
saying that to say what? You know what I mean? So, and shout out to Marvin just standing tall with her the whole time. We see Juke after that meeting. Actually, Marvin tells her. Actually, maybe before they come, I can't remember. Marvin tells her like, Juke, you smart. Like
Yeah.
not just a little smart, like you smart to the point where you should be in school.
Mm-hmm.
You should really be using this and gaining an education because who knows what you can do and how you can change the world if you do
Mm-hmm.
that. And that leads to us seeing Juke signing up for classes at the community college
Yeah.
before she runs into some people from Low Life. One of the
Mm-hmm.
members from Low Life who we saw in season one, was that season one?
Yeah.
See Low Life and you know, some of the crew we gonna be hanging out at this bar, come holler at us later on. Um, she pays a visit to Rock. Um, excuse me, I'm sorry, she has a visit with Kanan.
Yeah.
Her and Kanan have lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And Kanan is the only person that kind of knew.
Yeah.
Um, he's the first person to know her sexual orientation.
Mm-hmm.
And Kanan is excited. Hell yeah. Like, let the world get the real Juke. Like,
Yeah.
fuck all that. You don't gotta hide who you are. We got you. It's about time. That scene to me was the definitive moment of the new Juke that we're gonna see.
Okay.
Right? When she says things like, I only dream when I'm sleeping, I'm wide awake in this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whoever don't like it, they can come get some.
Yeah.
Like things like that being said, just let me know. Like it's whatever. It's whatever, whenever, with whoever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really care. This is what it's gonna be. And let me ask you a question because I
Mhm.
don't know if we got an answer and I'm not remembering it. Now that we have Juke kind of in limbo and trying to figure out her life and what her next steps are, did we ever understand why she never joined the family business? Was that ever discussed?
I don't think so. I think that she saw essentially what it did to her father, Rock, Kanan, and was like, I'm cool on that. Even though she later developed her own scenario, or maybe in this new Juke, she does end up joining a family business, and that's how she starts her operation in DC or Baltimore, or wherever she is in power.
Yeah, I just when you don't know what to do
Mm-hmm.
and your family has a business, most
Yeah,
people go straight to the family business, at
yeah.
least until, I'm going to do this until I find my next thing or
Mm-hmm.
whatever happens next.
Mm-hmm.
Juke has a specific set of skills. We said that last week. Word to Liam Neeson.
Yeah,
Wouldn't surprise me if those skills are used to help the Thomas family, especially we know things are about to heat up.
yeah.
We know things are about to heat up, man. So I just always thought that because and Marvin, maybe he wants to keep her away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Rock, who's begging Kanan to join the family business. I don't know. It's just, and Juke always seemed a little bit more sure of herself. Go ahead.
That was not always the case. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
in season one, Rock was doing her best to keep Kanan out of the business. She wanted him to go to school. Since remember that discussion he and the two of them were having outside of Grandma's house. I thought you was going to go to college. I thought you was going to do this, second, third. She did not want him. Kanan's persistence and obsession with the business is what has her finally like, if you're gonna do it, come do it with me so that I can provide some oversight and guidance and make sure that your shit is right. So it's not what she wanted for him either.
Mm-hmm.
It's what he wanted. It's what he
That's fair.
decided.
That's true. That's true. Another important piece of this conversation between Kanan and Juke is Famous gets mentioned.
Hmm.
Um, the first of two times Famous gets mentioned in different circles in this episode. We don't know where Famous is. They don't know where Famous is. Juke tells Kanan, listen, Famous is a lot of things. He ain't no snitch.
Hmm.
Famous out in LA with his sister, bothering some women that don't want to be bothered. Kanan laughs it off. Yeah, you're probably right. We learned that Kanan pulled up on his mom's,
Hmm.
but didn't want to say too much because, hey, this could look crazy for me.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This Famous thing has really got me wondering what's going on and what's the big drop. Because
Famous
Mama,
ain't in LA with that sister.
nah, and remember, Kanan say he saw Mom's. Mom's knows
Hmm.
about Famous getting pulled up on
Hmm.
and what's going on.
It's
So
her
I don't
fault.
know. Yeah, yeah.
I
Um,
think that can I think I'm sticking by My episode 1 prediction is that Kanan got famous out of here.
I just don't see it. I don't see it, but you could be right. You could be right. You could be right.
Oh no, man. It's looking a little
It's
bit more and more suspicious.
now I will say this to your point
Mhm,
to help your case. Anytime famous is mentioned as someone in the Thomas family, it's
mhm.
almost like gloom is
Uh-huh.
over the room.
Yep.
We'll talk about it later when we get to Lou.
Mhm.
It's just a certain like uneasiness. It's almost like when he killed what's my man's name?
Um,
In season 1. The one that got Lou all fucked up to begin with. He dropped Candace dude. I can't remember his name. I'll look it up. We'll get to it later. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of that gloomy thing. And we also see Juke, and it's funny how the episode did it.
mhm.
We know Juke loves music. When I see Juke walking up, I hear music, and I'm thinking like, is she about to do like an amateur night? She tried to sing, and I'm like, oh, this is gay bar. This is a gay club. This is
Yeah.
what this is. This is Juke exploring her identity,
Mhm.
really wanting to say, hey, since I'm out here, which is I'm sure was exhilarating for her because she's
Yeah.
finally out in the open. Like she's not hiding it anymore.
Yeah.
She's not necessarily telling people who don't need to know, but I'm not hiding it either. If that's what it comes down to. What do you think about this woman that she meets outside of the club and what her role is going to be in Juke's life and in this season?
It made me nervous, high key. One, because I don't know if it's just a New York thing, but these are all like regular bars. And
Yeah.
y'all are not adults. I mean, 18 maybe, but not 21. So side eye to all of that. So while Juke is outside of what we learn is the gay bar, she comes across, or this woman comes upon her late, mm, mid 30s, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
I am anxious because I think we talked about it a little bit in the Juice episode of Culture Garden, this older woman who was dating Q, you know. I don't want to say it's going to become a grooming situation, but I'm very leery of people who are, dare I say, significantly older who pull you into
A world.
scenarios and experiences into the world, whether you're curious to that world or not. And I could not gauge the age range of all the other girls who were in that circle that she brought Juke into, you know. They seem fairly young-ish too.
Mm-hmm.
So
20, maybe 21, somewhere
yes,
around there.
oh no, it's definitely gonna be tricky. I don't know if she will. We have probably seen the last of Aisha for a while at least.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she becomes her lady liaison or what, but she will be somebody of interest, and I just hope that I don't know, I got my eye on her. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't know, like a mentor in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever she is, she got some pull and some juice because we saw the line wrap around the building. She told security she with
Walking in
me.
that bitch.
I
Yeah.
was walking up in there. So my first thought was she owns the club,
Mhm.
which very well could be true. But she's there enough. She has some kind of part. She's a somebody
Yeah.
in that building. Um, what it means, and she mentioned. Remember, they had the conversation about old girl dating the bartender,
Mhm.
then not coming back because it got awkward, and then
Yeah.
the bartender got fired. And she almost said it like, "Yeah, I got rid of her. I got her up out of here for her to come back."
Mm.
I don't know. She got some kind of pull. My thought, some point during the season at one of these visits, we're gonna see someone in that club.
Mhm.
We're gonna see another character. I don't know who.
Okay, we'll say who we gonna
I don't know.
see.
I have no idea who. I have no idea who. I just have one of those feelings that Juke
Okay.
is gonna be in there. She's gonna see someone she does not expect to see in there. I have no
Mm.
idea who it will be, how it will happen. Not sure. Completely left field. Um,
I I'm very curious of what brought you there. I don't think we have enough other female characters
I don't know.
to
I'm just saying.
relevant in there.
It just gave me. I was waiting on something to happen, and it reminded me of look up Juke's in there. She's in this new identity, her real identity, but now open with it. And then she looks up, and now she realizes, that's interesting.
Detective Howard's partner's girlfriend,
Somebody will be in there.
and that is the police link.
Yeah, somebody will be in there.
Oh, now you got my wheels turning because I hadn't considered that at all. And even last week, we were toying with the idea or trying to figure out how does Juke become a police officer.
Yeah,
If what was the partner's name? Samantha, Shelley,
I'm
uh,
not sure. Also, speaking of names, D Wiz was the name of the
Wiz.
kid that
Yeah,
that
got
that Lou
Lulu.
took out.
Mm-hmm. That would make total sense because she was aware of who Jukebox was.
She knows her identity.
She knew that she was meeting with her and they were developing some sort of relationship. Now she takes that on. I see you here, XYZ. She also was a police officer or IA, something to that effect. And
Mm-hmm.
that is how that relationship continues. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Admittedly, I will say I am doing another podcast, wrapping one up about The Sopranos. There's a huge storyline in season 6A of The Sopranos that involves one of the members being caught in a gay club
Got it.
by other people. So maybe that's a little bit fresh in my mind. Just anytime there's been two specific scenes of two of my favorite shows that involve a gay club, and both of those you see someone that you don't expect to see. And maybe part of that's in my head when I'm like, nah, Juke, I just feel like she's gonna run into somebody that she doesn't expect. And now this was an all women's club, right? If I remember, yeah. So, all right, well, we'll see what happens as Juke continues to find herself and be comfortable in her own skin in her
Yeah.
hometown of Queens. And we'll keep an eye out on that lady, see who
Yeah.
she is and what she got going on.
Let's
Rock Marvin Lou.
Marvin. Marvin. You know,
Go
we've already
ahead.
touched on him a little bit. Uh
Mm-hmm.
again, not a super I don't maybe it was a little Marvin heavy. But we see Marvin in various instances throughout this entire episode. He is who comes upon the Asians who have been brutally murdered and robbed. He's the one who presses early for the information. He's there at the house with Jew. Um, going back to him pressing early, we learned that not only is early connected, but his family is connected. And he has an aunt who still works for child services. And Marvin needs to check on his goddaughter. Now, nobody asked him to be Amber and the other sister's godfather, but that is what he is because he loved those girls.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a genuine friend to Gerald, despite being betrayed by him.
Mm-hmm.
He finds her school, gives her some money, gives him his number. This again, uh, the humanization of characters. We watched last week. Marvin wasn't taking no shit. He was not the gentle dare he's come to be.
Drop them draws. Surprised that has not turned into a GIF yet on Twitter or something.
Well, Twitter doesn't have the power that it used to have.
Right, fair. Yeah, whatever.
So we see that side of Marvin, and to that point, even in his dealing with nephew, he thought he was the one. And now I
Mm-hmm.
realize, no, it wasn't. That was your aunt and uncle. You loved them. There is a daughter. You learn of their child that's just lost everything. You have to be there for them, for her,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, you know. Um, again, a different interaction, a different side of Marvin in his dealings. So even though last week he was angry, He was not the mild mannered Marvin that we had come to know and love. I think this episode showed that there's a little bit of that still in there. We talked at the top about Rock pressing Marvin about the Stefano of it all. And Marvin lies.
Marvin lies and is visibly shook as he exits.
Is visibly shook. Cause how the fuck
Mm-hmm.
does she know that? And again, the feds are always watching.
Always.
Marvin should know that.
Feds are the most patient motherfuckers in the world. Feds will take 4 or 5 years to build their case before
Yeah.
even saying a word, before you even know it. Because as we all know, I think you might have even said this, Rachel, in one of our previous episodes. When the feds come, they got you. There
They
is
know.
no questioning. The police is one thing. The
Yeah.
feds, they know everything they need to know.
Yeah.
If the case is already there, you going to jail, my nigga. So
Mm.
you got to understand that in your line of work and dealing with someone who, like Stefano, who's going to be under surveillance anyway, even if they don't have any crime, we're going to keep an eye on him.
Yep.
Because we have special task force for people like that. You got to know somebody watching.
And Stefano is a part of a major crime family, the head of
Exactly.
a major
That's that.
crime family.
Once again,
He's already been in trouble. We're already watching him. Remember, when we meet Stefano, the feds are rolling up in there. Anyway, they roll up in the fish tanks, this and the third. They take fish. He is going to remain a person of interest. I don't know if the Thomases don't know that and still proceed
they
to
have to.
business, but it's fishy as fuck. No pun.
No, I'm about to say no pun intended. Yeah, they have to know that because they know how the game works. And like you
Mhm.
said, the head of a major crime organization.
Yeah.
Somebody's always going to have those cameras on me, taking photos. I just don't think Marvin thought it would have led to Rock finding out,
Yeah.
this Fed business. But as we see, she has an attorney that knows everything, or
Mhm.
had an attorney that knows everything.
Yeah.
Two things about Marvin as we get into this. One, well, a couple things. I'll tie them all together. Interesting that this episode did not discuss the attorney getting murdered.
Mhm.
We see Rock leaving a message.
They don't know yet.
That's it. They don't know yet. So I thought that would be something that was revealed. They don't know that yet. Also, no Stefano this episode.
Mhm. Mhm.
Marvin dropped the body of one of his guys. That
Yeah.
has to be discussed. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's going to tie into more of, maybe that's another reason why there's a million reasons why you just honest with Rock. You're already caught up. Like,
Mhm.
you might as well. What Rock gonna do to you? She ain't gonna kill you. Not for that. You know what I mean? You're gonna get a talking to. You're gonna get one of them Rock talking tos, but that's
Yeah.
it. Because I just dropped the body. I'm gonna deal with the repercussions from Stefano. And then lastly, Marvin gave Amber the number and the money.
Mhm.
When Marvin asked Amber how she's liking her new foster family, she says, "I miss Dad and I forget the other sister name. Starts with the A. I miss her." Right?
April.
Marvin is going to get a phone call this season from Amber, where something funny happens in that house,
Yeah.
and Marvin gonna come over to step and handle it. It's gonna put Marvin in a deeper world of bullshit.
For sure.
I don't know what's gonna happen. We see how Marvin feels about orphans. I don't know if he's going to consciously make Amber another orphan, because he's not taking her in. Like, there's no way he takes her in, right? So how is this all going to play out? But that number, her getting the number, means something. That's not the end of that.
I
She's
don't
going to
know
call
that
Uncle Marvin.
I don't know that there's no way he takes her in. I think that you are very much onto something, that something happens and she calls her Uncle Marvin. Whatever happens leads to him just taking her.
Or said foster parents find the number and the money,
Mhm.
and now you got the boys rolling up on Marvin.
Okay.
One of the two. What is Marvin going to do with Amber
That's
and
his
the life he
girl.
led? Yeah, but I think he's the Marvin we know now. Season 1 Marvin, 100% I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
Season 4 Marvin, I can't bring her around his life. Like, there's too much ins and outs that goes on with it. There's too much. She's not Jupe's age. She's a child. She needs somebody to care for her and look after her. Like,
Yeah.
Marvin's not gonna be able to do that. I don't know how it's gonna work out.
I don't know. I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying
I
that's
think
now is interesting.
let's leave her there too, especially if something uh untoward is happening to her.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
man.
Now if you get into that situation, absolutely, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll put a pin in that as we discuss
Mhm.
Marvin a little bit further. But next week we have to find out about the attorney. We have to see Rock finding out about the attorney, and we have to have Stefano in the episode to discuss what happened to his bookie. That has to
Mhm.
happen next week. So we'll keep our eye on that. Lastly, we have Lou and we have Rock, and of course,
Lou.
family dinner.
Lou.
I'm just gonna say this right now. We sing the praises of Raising Kanan.
Mhm.
I don't need a ton of partisan Fontaine. I just don't.
Nope.
I don't need to be real a character.
Ah,
Like, I'm
be
hoping that this is. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He's gonna end up working for the Thomases. He's gonna end up moving work because he needs that money.
I need that money.
Yeah, despite Lowell, despite Leor,
Straight up, Leor.
giving him the money and that soliloquy about the hardships of being a Jew.
Let me ask you this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut off your thought. What were your thoughts on that scene?
I didn't need it.
It just felt like some. It, I was waiting for Keenan Ivory Wayans to pop up at the end and say message. Like, it just seemed like something somebody wrote very
It,
specifically. It didn't fit with the show. It didn't make sense.
it didn't make sense because okay, it's multifold.
Yeah.
We are in the show in 94. This is 2025. This is a black show. We are delving into the music industry on said black show. We are delving not just into the music industry, we are talking about hip hop specifically. When we get into what we know in our 2025 brains about predatory record deals and XYZ, uh, and who primarily, because it was very interesting that Lowell made mention of Barry Gordy because he got into his own trouble with his dealings and whatnot in the fairness of it all of what he was
Mhm.
doing to the Motown artists. So right now especially there is a lot of conversation, or even in 2023, 24 when this was written essentially, a lot of conversation about these Jewish executives in the hip hop industry and what they're doing to black artists who are looking for um I don't want to say a come up, but to change their lives, XYZ. There's that aspect.
Mhm.
And now also, we are again, it's 2025. A lot can be said about the state of Israel and the Jewish, I don't want to call it propaganda, but propaganda that we're seeing while the Israel and Palestine of it all is going on. Um,
Mhm.
we are seeing the uptick in commercials that stand with Israel and this and the third. And obviously, all Jews are not Zionists and this and the third. But the timing of it and that speech, and nothing that Lowell said was wrong, quote unquote. It wasn't. And I understand that every sect of people have a multifaceted and complicated history and this, that, and the third. But for a show, quote unquote, like Raising Kanan, I'm not watching Marshall, you know.
Mhm. Yeah,
I don't necessarily I didn't necessarily need that history lesson. I don't know what part of the Raising Kanan audience that was for.
that's
If
pretty much it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's it was heavy handed. It was just heavy handed, and it didn't fit the conversation. We want to be very clear. We're not saying that the conversation isn't necessary or
necessary because
even.
it is.
Yeah, it's very it's very intricate. It's necessary, multifaceted, as you said, Rachel.
Mhm.
Just doesn't fit Raising Canaan,
Yeah.
and even I'm curious to see from all of you out there who are watching if you felt the same. Like as in real time, I'm watching it. Like, what are we doing? Like I said, the conversation, I get it. It just doesn't fit what the show is going on right now.
And even if said conversation is had, I'm not saying it like that, but Be Realer ain't the audience. Like, Be
Man, he don't
Realer's
give a
not
fuck.
giving a fuck about this conversation.
Yeah, and I think part of it is at this point of life, a lot of the things that I engage with, if there's no solution in it, then I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about dumb shit. Not saying that's dumb shit. I don't want
Yeah.
to talk about shit for the sake of talking about it. Right?
Yeah.
There has to be some kind of solution or end game. And maybe the solution or maybe the whole message was, hey, the importance of hearing each other out. B Rilla
Sure.
said, I don't give a fuck about anything you're talking about, but
Yeah.
I heard you out. And he said, consider this money a bonus for just sitting there. That means a lot. Maybe
Mhm.
that was the overall message, and that's cool. It just feel a little bit heavy handed. Once again, important conversation to have, just not the right platform, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
and it was just interesting. But the most interesting part of all of that was the fact that Lou was back on his shit. Lou was
Mhm.
in businessman mode. Like Lou
Yeah.
was, and he's got a dual purpose, right?
Mhm.
A, I don't want you on my couch, my nigga.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't the plan when I got you out of jail. I know you got other things going on. Your family got kids, and now you can't stay over there. Cool, but now, as to his record label, we need you to get him an advance so he can get up out of my spot. Yeah, there's a lot of water under the bridge. Let's talk about it. And like Lowell said, consider this a bonus for listening to me.
Not just that, he was already given an advance.
Yeah, he was.
What the fuck have you done with that money? You didn't secure any housing. You just tricked it off.
Put it back in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Bought some bricks or something. I don't know. Who knows?
And crazy. Well, I guess the price of the brick has significantly gone up. Or
Must
he
have.
hasn't sold it, and you out robbing, you got this advance, you out robbing, allegedly. Um,
Do we know how long Rilla was in jail?
we don't. We don't.
Interesting. I don't know, man. Like I said, the Rilla character. We'll see if we get a payoff at the end of this. I'm not interested solely.
I could be interested in it, but I don't, I'm a voice person. I don't think I like his voice. Um, and
He
so
got like a pop smoke voice.
ye- sure.
Rachel, like who?
I know who that is. I don't know what he sounds like.
Yeah,
Speaking.
like be Rilla, like be Rilla.
Got it. I don't I'm trying to think of who I think could be better suited for that role because I think part of the disinterest in the Berilla is the performance.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
as believable as everybody else. And I'm wondering maybe and I know we don't cross pollinate, but I could even see a what's Kane Woody
Oh
from
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I could
What do
see
you?
him. I was gonna say Wood Harris, but that's clearly not his name. But it is Woody something.
Yeah, Woody Damn, what is his name?
McLean.
I don't know. Woody McLean. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see him doing something to that effect. I could see him maybe selling that a little bit
You know,
more.
You know who? You know who I like to see in that role?
Who?
Maybe. I don't know if he got it. I don't know if he got it. I was gonna say Jarrell Jerome.
No.
He ain't got it. Yeah, I thought about. I'm just trying to think of black actors under 30 who could probably play that right now.
Yeah, I do want to see him in something not traumatic.
Yeah, you did say that multiple times.
Yeah, but I don't know if I see that.
Yeah, even my boy, but he's already in the 50 show. He was in BMF. D Nice, not D Nice, but whatever his name was. That was in BMF. Skinny dude that ended up snitching. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever. We got
I
Parties
know
and
what you're
Fontaine.
talking about. Yeah. Rye Cryer, Riley Cryer. You know who I'm
What
talking
would I
about?
know him from?
He was in he was the shooter in what's the Netflix movie we just talked about the other day? Harder Day Fall.
Mm.
He was what's it face's baby
Oh,
daddy.
RJ Siler.
Yes, him.
RJ Siler. 100% would have bodied this role.
Yes.
100% would have bodied this
Him.
role. First time I saw RJ Siler, he was Billy the Blue Ranger in that new Power Rangers movie that came out in like
Okay.
2018. And then I've obviously seen him go on and do other things, rap shit and some other stuff,
Rap
Harder They
shit. Yeah.
Fall. He was in Book of Clarence,
Yes.
all of that. Very talented brother. Very talented brother. He would have bodied this. And he's a
Yeah.
real actor.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Party, but
Yeah.
he's a real actor. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this real storyline. We talked about the heart to heart. He gets the advance, gets that done. But most importantly, I would say about Lou is Lou gets to go to his AA meeting
Yeah.
and share. It's a milestone. I'm assuming a month, I
Yeah.
guess.
Sure.
I would imagine a month. It's not a
30
year for
days.
sure.
Yeah.
30 days to the milestone. And shares his thoughts and happenings of what happened when he was inside. Like he had it all set up. He
It
was
might
going
be
to unalive himself. How much? How
it
long?
might be 3 months.
3 months? Okay. Cool. Shares his events, shares
Mm.
the things that happened to him while he was inside, and he was ready to take his own life until he looked in the mirror and for the
Yeah.
first time was able to feel sad for himself.
Yeah.
He was never able to feel that, and just how those emotions have helped him get to where he is today and kind of given himself some grace in order
Mhm.
to continue to live and put some of the bad stuff behind him. And I couldn't get a read for it in real time as he's up there talking. I couldn't get a read on what Rock was thinking. What did you originally think about Lou's Lou opening up and what Rock was thinking as she listens? Did you think that because we know Lou, I mean, so we know Rock is not the one who is deep in her feelings
Mhm.
and maybe looks at things like that as weakness in her line of work versus having compassion for it. We end up finding out that she is compassionate and she, found out some new things about her brother and she just wants him to get better. But for a split second, I thought like Rock is like, man, this nigga might be trouble.
I don't think Rock knew quite how to take what she was hearing. I
Mm-hmm.
said it in my opening monologue. She's not the most emotional person.
Mm-hmm.
She was not receptive when she was at the rehab center with him in that joint therapy session. Mind you, she is who he called, not their mama, not Marvin. I called Rock, my big sister, who essentially raised me and is my caretaker and is paying with Marvin's help, paying for me to be in this facility.
Mm-hmm.
I think us learning that Elijah, their father, unalived himself, we still didn't really get because she and Kanan's relationship is so rocky. We didn't get her perspective on everything that happened with their dad. I think hearing that Lou, her baby brother, almost went down that very same path was jarring for her. And I think that she is scared. I don't think she thinks that he's going to do it now, But I think that a little, I don't want to say a little piece of her broke in that scenario, but softened her up so that she could have the conversation with Lou afterwards, because she was so guarded at the first attempt to share. She was not open, but now that I have a different understanding of not just you drinking excessively, but feeling like you were going to take your own life, I have to handle you differently.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what I'm doing is not working, especially if I look at my relationship with my one and only son, and now here is my baby brother about to send his own self to glory.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to reconfigure how it is that I'm handling my interpersonal relationships, and everything is not just business. The person behind the business deal, it matters too. And I think this is the first time that we see the big sister and not just the boss.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope they dig into the rock side of things on this conversation a little bit more as the season
Yeah.
goes along, because I do think that is a fascinating perspective to look at the person being told that, hey, I almost ended all of this. If you're
Hmm.
receiving that information, that's a lot to take in, and
For sure.
there's nothing that prepares you for the reaction.
For sure.
Like, what is the right way to respond to that? Is it immediately trying to see what you can do? Is it just sitting
Mhm.
there listening? Is it expressing your, I don't want to say disappointment, but your concern? Like, what is it? What is the right answer? There's a lot of things that go into it.
And did you try to do that after I was there being cold and low key shitting on you in the
Hmm.
therapy session? Did I help contribute to you feeling so little and low that you feel like you have to take yourself up out of here? Some guilt there.
There is some guilt there. I could also see it to be a detriment
Hmm.
because completely different project, but 50 related. Get Rich or Die Trying the movie,
Which I
um,
secretly love.
which it's on my radar very soon for Culture Guard. But there's a part where he says, "Man, love will get you killed."
Yeah.
Right, the character of 50 Cent, love will get you killed. If Rock does get deeper into her feelings and understanding of the people around her, as she's built her life of shutting out any type of emotion, will that make her vulnerable in her business? And I'm sure it will. I don't know if she can afford to have those conversations with Lou on that deeper level and open up those feelings. She's already got it with Kanan.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing her, and you made a great point. We're seeing her more emotional than we ever have.
Hmm.
Um, and there's way too much going on for her to really kind of take the time to explore her feelings.
Hmm.
And I don't know if we look at that being a privilege.
Yeah.
The privilege of being able to sit with your feelings and really understand them and navigate them. A lot of people don't have that, and some people can't have it because it really would be a disservice to them and their business. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go on to into the rest of the season. Lou's obviously going to do the music thing. I don't see him being back in the family business anytime soon, unless duty calls and there's some real shit going on where the Thomases are cornered.
Hmm.
Um, but we see he's trying to change his life. He's not trying to be at the bar, staying away from liquor. So Lou's going to be an interesting character to keep an eye on.
Shout out to
Let's go ahead and shout out to who?
Shirley holding
Shout
down
out to
the
Shirley.
phone. Yeah.
Shout out to Shirley, man. Let's go ahead and talk about Rock since we already well,
Hmm.
in the episode with Rock and family dinner and the whole nine. We see her talking to Erwin,
Hmm.
who runs the restaurants.
Hmm.
And Erwin's of course shook. Like, this ain't no kids getting in trouble. This is murder we talking
Yeah.
about. Like, no business, no, we can't do this anymore. And the Rock we all know and love, telling niggas what time it is. Let me
For
tell you
sure.
exactly how this is about to go. Like, how long you been married? 41 years? I bet. Well, we married too.
Me too.
Yeah. But death do us apart. This is what it is. There is no getting out of this. Um, you might as well just enjoy it, because
Yeah.
there's no getting out of this relationship. There's no getting out of this business. We in it for the long haul. We also see Rock finding out that Kanan hasn't been a school lawyer. We talked about that briefly. We talked about Crystal and Rock. Let's talk about the Rock and Quan, the Rock and Joaquin of it all. The business side of things, Rachel. What did you think about Quan pulling up after we saw the bullshit from last week? Now, Quan's wife's sister, or excuse me, Quan's wife's
Cousin.
cousin, excuse me, is
Mhm.
dead under Rock's watch. I love the line like you're replaceable. You keep telling me that shit like I'm supposed to agree with you or something. What do you think about how this is shaping up?
I'm quite sick of Quan as well. He- He's a powerful man. You're the supplier XYZ. But I don't think that he's as familiar with the Thomas game as he thinks he is.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to, I kind of want to say Rock's patience, but that's not necessarily it either. Last week we talked about Kanan in the scenario with snaps and pops in knowing when a conversation is over. We saw Rock essentially in that same scenario with Quan last week. And now we see she's extending the conversation again a little bit this week. They are going to end up in a war.
Has to.
Um and I believe that the Thomases will win that. For
Yeah.
as much maybe manpower, quote unquote, as Quan might have, you've got the money, but you don't, you and your entourage of 7, these bodyguards, y'all rolling up in this, that, and the third, but y'all don't quite know who the fuck we are and how we get down. Yes, I'm sorry that your cousin-in-law died. We are trying to also get to the bottom of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You've already raised my prices. You threatening to have somebody else run my shit. Who? Like, let's be very serious. Who? We don't know that Unique is still alive, but the reality is him trying to take his streets back. You don't really had a mental capacity to really, really do that shit the way that maybe it is that you once were. And you don't really had a manpower. There has to be another, I don't want to say rival family, but I just don't know that the manpower is there for somebody else to effectively take over um for the Thomases. And Quan, just your ear is not that much to the streets. Uh so you don't have that information. I didn't love it. I don't like him as a person. He's getting over on Rock, and he
Yeah.
gonna have to pay for that. You're gonna get yours.
I had a thought as you were talking, and in that same breath, you kind of squashed it at the same time, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
I thought about the play for Unique,
Hmm.
and Unique still has he had a presence, right? He knew all of these pieces.
Yeah.
Would it be smart for Unique to circle back and say, "Hey, I'm back. I'm here. I can take over all of this." But two things that you mentioned: A, Unique doesn't have anybody in his corner. Doesn't have
Hmm.
any manpower. Who's gonna move all this stuff? You
Yeah.
literally just getting back on your feet, literally. Second thing is, if I come to you, if I'm Quan and I'm smart, which Quan doesn't necessarily show smart.
Hmm.
I don't know how Quan got where he was. It hasn't been. There's nothing I've seen from Quan that says brilliance.
Yeah.
Um,
You just
but
know
if I'm
somebody
smart,
in the field.
if I'm looking at the whole chessboard and I see somebody coming out of nowhere saying that you can take over this business and take somebody I dislike out, well, how did you get here? Well, you set them up to look bad. Does
Hmm.
that mean you killed my people? Does that mean because now I got an issue with you? I don't
Yeah.
know if he can do that. Even before that, like I said, the manpower thing is the biggest issue. Who's Unique going to get to just run and set up shop for him? It's
Yeah.
not early. He's not. He doesn't do that. It's not his line of work. He doesn't have Ronnie. He doesn't
Mhm.
have anyone else unless he takes Kanan's people. But that's going to end up in a war. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out. I just know I know that I know Rock needs to find. Well, let's talk about it. She meets with Joaquin.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't serve H in Queens. She knows that, as he
Yeah.
mentioned. However, there is someone that does.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his name that she mentioned. Demonte. I forget who it was, but she
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, "Hey, your friend in Baltimore, holla at him."
Yeah.
It looks like next week we're going to get that visit where she wants to be the supplier. We got to remember that she doesn't want to move work. She wants to be the supplier, which means she wants to take Quan out. I was about to say Stefano. Stefano told her, "Come with a number, come with an offer, we'll talk."
Mm-hmm.
That's her only real way out of this whole Quan situation.
Yeah.
Maybe she can ask Stefano to get rid of him for her or to get the green light to do it. The only issue now is, which we haven't seen, we're assuming maybe that deal's off the table completely because of Marvin and his mishandlings of the bookie. We don't know. That is going to lead to so much friction. And I know we touched on it already, bro. Just tell Rock what's going on. It's like being out past curfew.
Mm-hmm.
You're already late. Ain't no point if your curfew's at midnight, ain't no point in coming home at 12:15. You might as well stay out till 3.
Yeah.
Because nigga, it's gonna be the same shit. Yes, it might be a little extra on it, but you were getting in trouble one way or another.
One way or the other. You kind of got my wheels turning with the Stefano of it all.
That's the biggest piece on the board right now.
Not even the Marvin and Stefano. Rock may want to start tailoring her dealings even with him, knowing that the feds are waiting on her to turn on him,
Mm.
knowing that there are extra eyes on him.
Am I tripping? Did Stefano try to make a pass at Rock?
I believe so.
Didn't that happen in one of those?
Saber last season. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Because she was at the crib, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. I thought so. Now, Stefano,
Yeah, she
everybody
had
know.
to
Shout out to Rock.
pay.
Um, yeah, that's a good point though, Rachel. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff we just don't have the answers to yet.
Yeah.
That's why this episode, that's why I couldn't just call it a filler.
Yeah.
Because it did leave the breadcrumbs for what's going to happen and what we could assume. And there's a lot of, obviously, this episode, a lot of potential scenarios that we are tossing around
Mm-hmm.
as could be true. We don't know, but we'll go ahead and continue to talk into it. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about Rock specifically was her conversation with Kanan outside of her mom's.
Yeah.
What Kanan said was 100% real. I hope we get into maybe the psyche of Rock. I would love a Rock flashback episode.
Yes.
I would love the moment when Rock became Rock.
Yeah.
I think that would just be good television. I think that would be better for our understanding because Kanan said something very interesting where he mentioned she's pleading with him like, "Hey, I thought our plan was for you to graduate high school, go to college, and this nigga look like all the stuff you did to me and had me do.
Yeah.
You think I was really going to college? Like sometimes I really think you're crazy."
Mm, mm, mm.
And it's so simple, but it's really, nigga, are you serious right now? Like,
Yeah.
do you remember my childhood? Like, I was doing shit at 13, 14, 15 that grown men wouldn't even dare to do. Like, you had me doing that. You want me in this business. Like, what part of this thought college was that? You thought I was going to be at Georgetown, nigga? You thought I was going to go to NYU? Like, how'd you think this was going to play out? Sometimes I really think you're crazy. And I really want to know what leads to Rock's thought process because it is crazy. Like, what are you talking about?
Is it crazy? Again, yes, I tried to have you kill your father, but that was already after you were deviating from the initial plan. Think back to the pilot of Rock at the school with Kanan when he's 15. We know that he's a smart kid. He had the opportunity to, I think it was Choate to go there. Um, all of these different scenarios again, up till 15, yes, you knew what I was doing, but I really did want you to be about that school life. You didn't want to. And I think I said it earlier about the child, I don't want to say childishness of Rock in this episode in regards to her and her mother, but Rock had Kanan at like 16, 17. She was a kid. They grew up together. I think in her mind, she still wants that for him. And also, some of that is, despite me not finishing high school, the life that I would have wanted for myself had I not had to get this money, save our family, XYZ. You know what I'm saying? Dreams deferred. And I think she looks at her own dream deferred and is trying to live through Kanan, who is bucking against that at all costs. And so now I've chosen to be a part of this life that you really didn't want me in, even though you're heavily involved in. I don't think Rock is crazy. A hypocrite, maybe, but crazy, no.
Okay. Everything you're saying is spot on. I get it. I understand that. But what this really ties to, in my opinion, is
Uh-huh.
Rock's inability to really process emotional feelings. Her emotional intelligence, if it doesn't involve violence, like the
Yeah.
compassionate side of that emotional intelligence spectrum,
Mhm.
is lacking. So I don't even think she's. Yes, you're 100% spot on, like I said, but she doesn't have the ability to step back and say, "Yo, all of this shit might have fucked him up. Me sending him to kill his dad, even though he didn't know it was his dad, just to kill anybody, right? Your mom tells you, I need this person dropped
Yeah.
as a teenager.
Yeah.
I don't think for once she thought about what kind of impact will that have on him mentally. I think she thinks of him like her, where he
Mhm.
can just do this and brush that shit off.
Yeah.
He can learn to compartmentalize this and just keep moving on with his life and go live. Like, bro, you gonna be in fucking astrology 101 having flashbacks of you dropping this nigga in the projects. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, you need some kind of help and some kind of
Mhm.
therapy and all types of things. And I just don't think she's there. So both sides of the coin, I think, are true. I see where Rock is 100% correct. I
Mhm.
also see where she's lacking the part where, yo, you did a lot of shit to him that needs to be addressed. Um,
And it's funny because it's the complete opposite with she and Juke. She can look at Marvin and see where he wasn't the best dad or the most supportive and this and the third, and she filled in that gap. And I think it's just sort of the blind spots that we have for our own children, our own parents, this and the third,
mhm.
where she's missing that with Kanan, where it's she's able to be so emotionally available and supportive and show some sort of emotional IQ when it comes to Juke, who
Yeah,
didn't have a mother and essentially a father, because she raised Juke too when Marvin was in jail and Keisha was gone.
that's true. That's true. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that she's very good at owning up to her shit.
Yeah.
When she talked to Lou about dropping scrap and she was wrong about it, I got to
Mhm.
live with that.
Yeah.
Like, I got to deal with that. Oh well, like, she feels it. She's never gonna let you know that she feels it. We've
Mhm.
seen Rock get vulnerable. I don't want to paint it like that. We've seen her
Yeah.
get vulnerable and have the human weight of things be shown on screen.
Mhm.
You brought up a very interesting point. It's her child, so it's different.
Mhm.
It's always easy to see the the issues in other people before we see it in ourselves,
For sure.
especially if it's not called out on a regular basis. And Rock runs shit. Not too many people calling her out, except for Kanan.
Yeah. He's the only one actually.
Yeah, he's the only one. And he's a kid in her eyes, my kid for all that,
Yeah.
and whatever. Like, that's just kind of what parenting is. The only other thing, really, Rachel, and I really don't have much to say about it. The family dinner.
Mhm.
It was just a moment for grandma to tell the family that she has cancer. We know that Kanan already knew. We knew as viewers because of that, but
Yeah.
she's now letting the family know, and it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well, especially for Rock more than anybody. She's the
Mhm.
one that's kind of like, yo, you spent your whole life telling me I wasn't shit,
Yeah.
and now you want to, I guess, have sympathy in your final days and kind of spring this information over pot roast when
Mhm.
we never had a pot roast family dinner type of relationship.
Yeah.
A lot to unpack there. deal with that how you need to deal with it. You
Mhm.
know, if you rock, if you're the Thomas family, we all know how they feel about their parents, and we saw their grandma buck back too. Like, fuck it. Well, you
Yeah.
feel how you feel. I'm just telling you what it is. Did you have anything extra to say about it? There wasn't anything really to discuss other than us showing that moment.
I was, you know what? The one thing that was, I don't even want to say telling, but kind of pricked my interest was I said it when she was introduced to us this season. Niggas love their grannies.
Hmm.
But Juke is the oldest grandchild,
Hmm.
not
Yeah,
Kanan.
I knew you were gonna go there. I knew you were gonna go there.
We know that Joyce is back in her religious bag. I wonder if she does not have that same first grandchild love, and we know how mothers are with sons and the boy mom, boy granny of it all. But
Hmm.
it was very interesting to me that that same affection and that same care and gentility that Kanan gets from the grandmother, Laverne Jukebox Thomas does not get. And what she said to her, it wasn't wrong. Don't try, do. The word is full of motherfuckers trying. Yes, what she said is right. Howsoever, I'm surprised that there is not a closer relationship between the two of them, especially considering how close she and Kanan are, in knowing that Juke lived with Rock for a good bit of time. You know what I'm saying? As children and as a young adult while Marvin was gone. That relationship was very interesting to me. Again, I felt like Lou was in his little boy bag when that was announced. Marvin, I couldn't really gauge. There wasn't much from anybody else at the table, with the exception of Rock's blow up. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, everybody else's process and Rock just kind of let it be known.
Hmm.
Of course, interesting dynamic in itself, being the only daughter with the
Yeah.
mom relationship. You just mentioned, it sounds like grandma has an issue connecting with the women in her family.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah.
We know that the end is near for her. We'll see what the reactions are and if there's any other conversations between now and then.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and that explains a lot why Juki is the way she is. I don't know if it has anything to do with her sexuality or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what you said is something about that boy that just
Hmm.
she's very, because she goes out of her way to be loving and open to Kanan. Like,
Yeah.
Kanan has a key to the crib.
Hmm. Hmm.
Kanan also is checking in on her, which she
Yeah.
is like we talked about last week about Kanan's the one that got the phone call
Hmm.
at his stash spot. Like, she got
Hmm.
the number to the stash spot. She knows, and she said something interesting. If they wanted to know how I was doing, they would come and check in, which I understand that part of it too.
Hmm.
It's always a little bit of something. So yeah, grandma got a little bit of woe is me,
Yeah. But
but
she's clearly tricky. Like, we've watched this cancer is not our first time seeing her. She and Rock, throughout the first 3 seasons, we've seen her a handful of times, and there is a tumultuous relationship there. You don't like what I'm doing, but you got your hand out.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely,
you've been telling me I want shit
abs,
my whole life,
absolutely.
but you don't mind taking no money from me. You don't mind the
I,
benefits
I
of
was
me
just
not
about to
being
say.
sick.
I was just about to say. More important than anything, we can't take grandma off the hook because she is not. We have multiple instances and multiple stories of her being a
Sure.
terrible parent. So
Uh, what was the mama in P Valley? Mercedes mama. It's giving Patrice. For
yeah, we just don't get the full aspect of it. So
sure.
obviously, right, you don't have a family like this without a mom like that.
For sure.
So
For
I
sure.
mean, it's there without. We don't really need more. We see how the end result was.
Yeah.
So yeah, the humanization of these
Mhm.
characters was really on display this episode. Rachel, I don't have anything else for Bygones. Did you have anything else to add?
Nope. I'm excited for next week.
Next week is going to be one of them. I think it's we're up maybe a little bit more, maybe somewhat of a um, laying the land for the rest of the season, but I do think we're going to increase from what we got this week. Looking
Yeah.
forward to talking about it as always. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, share. Let us know what you think about the episodes. We'll include your comments and your thoughts here with us. Until then, we will see y'all next week. We got y'all.
We got y'all. Peace out, y'all. Be safe. Thanks for watching.
Peace.
Listening. Bye.